I mean, we started with the concept of reuse, and it's quite interesting seeing standards like DITA evolve over the last couple of years and come to a lot of public recognition, and the idea of reusing content and the idea of topics. I mean, these are very, very old ideas that have been around for a long, long time. I mean, the idea of breaking content up into topics, really my first exposure to that was through information mapping. And I remember introducing that concept and that whole writing technique and methodology into the telco company I work with. And that was where a lot of the foundation of my own writing experience came from. And so that concept is that's been around for a long time. And the idea of breaking the information up, once you do that, I mean, the ability to reuse just comes naturally. And we started down that road of reusing topics inside different types of books or publications right from the very beginning. It was later on that we came up with the idea of nesting topics inside each other, or what is referred to as conrefs in a DITA environment, or reusing parts of information inside other topics. That concept we had probably about 10 years ago. So, and they're really great concepts, and you can reuse pretty much anything using those concepts, but the problem with it is it requires a lot of discipline on behalf of the writers. And disciplined writing teams can achieve fantastic results with the mechanisms of reusing topics and partial topics. But you step outside that disciplined group of writers, and that whole ability to be disciplined in your approach to not only creating the content but actually actively seeking out and reusing content, it's just not there. So, and the idea came to me one day. I was putting together some information for our website actually, and I remembered the information I was trying to put together, I remember that I'd written it or seen it somewhere. So I did my search and found the information, and there it was, locked up inside another topic which had much more information than I actually wanted. I wanted a couple of paragraphs which sat directly in the middle of this. And so using the techniques that we had in Author It, I could separate those couple of paragraphs out into a separate topic, nest them within the original topic, and then I would be free to reuse the components that I'd taken out. And it seems like a simple enough process, but then what happened is it triggered workflows around the topic that had been changed to have it re-reviewed and retranslated and all of those kinds of things. And it just seemed silly to have to go through that process when all I really wanted to do was reuse the paragraphs, and why couldn't the system just figure that out? So what that idea led to was the idea of no longer storing information in paragraphs, in topics, and to store them in paragraphs. And that's something that is really different about the way Author It operates. We re-architected in Author It 5 the whole way we store content, and we don't store information in topics anymore. We store it in paragraphs, and the system will automatically recognize when a paragraph is used in more than one topic and simply reference it. So that led to the idea of, well, if we can reuse paragraphs this way, then what's to stop us trying to compare the paragraphs and figure out how similar they are? And in fact, one of the findings after running this new way of storing information over our own database was it just struck us how many paragraphs were identical, but how many were really similar as well. And it doesn't have to be very different in order for a computer to say that it's different. It could be a single space, it could be a punctuation, it could be capitalization, really small differences, and it could be word order, it could be a missing word. So we altered a public algorithm that is used to determine if strings are similar to each other, and we made it work at a paragraph level. And now we use that algorithm to compare all of the content in the database, and now we're able to tell if paragraphs are similar to each other, and very accurately as well. So what that does is it enables us to use that knowledge of how similar paragraphs are to highlight opportunities to consolidate or reuse content within people's database. And so the act of simply putting your documents into Author It ends up showing you the duplication and the opportunities to further consolidate your content automatically. So it really is an exciting set of features from that point of view. Just shows you how inconsistent you can be. And then the next thought was, well, if we've got all all of these paragraphs, well, why can't we interactively suggest content to people as they're typing? And that idea of suggestion as you're typing is not a new one. I mean, we've seen it in lots of applications over the years. Probably the first applications were software development platforms, where they had IntelliSense for the syntax of commands, and very, very useful, really reduced time to learn products and also to use and develop code. And so we thought, well, we might be able to get similar benefits from an authoring. Different challenge, of course. We're not here suggesting syntax of paragraphs or syntax of writing. We're suggesting from content that's already been written. And the biggest challenge around that is, how do you search an entire database of potentially millions of paragraphs in a short enough period of time that it becomes useful to the author? And so that's the trick behind the technology, is the way in which it's been indexed, so that literally in a split second as you start typing, it's able to suggest content that is similar to what you're typing. And it's been very effective. And in fact, we found just in our own information, we've reduced our authoring times by about 30%. And that obviously increased our reuse by a similar amount, which has great downstream benefits of reduced review times, reduced translation costs, and so on and so forth. So it improves your ability to reuse content. And the other major benefit is that it's really, truly the only time that you can save authors time. You know, if you've written that paragraph, if you've already written the words on the page, it's too late. You've spent your time. You can never get that time back. And so our objective out of this was to extend reuse to the rest of the organisation. We know that the disciplined writing team can go out there and reuse content given the ability to use topics. We know that. We've got lots of clients that do it. What we want to do is give those same benefits to the organisation at large, that we know that people in there are not going to be sufficiently disciplined or skilled enough to go out there and seek content. And it's opened the doors to lots of other applications for the Author-it technology, and we've been enjoying lots of deals in, for example, in the sales proposal area, or in the human resources area, or other business documents, where we can now have users that are writing content and can benefit from all of the content that others in the organisation have written, and we can now start to treat those paragraphs or that content as an asset that is reusable. So huge value, and we're still yet to figure out exactly how much value that content represents. But just remember, every time you reuse something, you're saving that time and you're increasing the return on the original investment to create that piece of information. So yeah, we're very excited about this technology, and so are all of our clients.